Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to today's session. As usual, being a Sunday, we meet and we talk about matters health, how you can live a longer, healthier life. Sorry, we've just had a bit of a mishap. Our host, our guest speaker's laptop misbehaved a little bit, and we will not be able to do the session as we had planned earlier. Initially, we had talked about doing respiratory health. But that as it may be, being leaders in the field, you always have something else that you can do. And I want to introduce our guest speaker for today. This is a lady that has been in the business for quite some time in the wellness space. She's an authority in that space. She has assisted so many people to live a longer, happier, and healthier life. And she's going to share her story, how she got into this business, what are the benefits she has gotten, and she'll also touch on the products that she has used. And she'll also mention a little bit about respiratory health. So without further ado, I want to invite Margaret Amulavu. Maggie, can you hear me?
Yes, Fred, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Fred. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you very much. And we just apologize for that. Those are just called some of these IT things. And I'm delighted to be here. I always look forward to Neolife sessions because for me, Neolife is a way of life. And I always thank God because today, 28 years later, I do not know where I could have been if it wasn't for this business and this opportunity. My name is Margaret Amulavu. I am a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm a business builder. I'm married to Charles Amulavu, and between us, we've got two adults and a granddaughter who just turned two about 2 months ago. And I'm forever grateful what this business has done for me. Before this business, I worked for an international bank. But after working for this bank for 8.5 years, I chose to resign. And there were very many people who thought what was wrong with me. I was resigning. I was not yet 30 years. But I was resigning because that job was very stressful. I never came home before midnight. Actually, the earliest I got home was actually midnight. And I remember one of the midnights coming home, and our son was 3 years then, our firstborn. And he started telling everybody and every neighbor who came, anybody who walked into the house, and he would say, my mother doesn't come home. And you know what? It was actually true. He hadn't seen me for 3 days because after coming in at midnight and leaving very early in the morning, he, of course, hadn't seen me. And I was in the bank at a time of transition. So we had manual records. And so we were moving to the computer that you and I see today. The mobile phones were not there. The ATM machines were not there. Everything was manual in my years in the bank. And so as we were heading towards the year 2000, they decided, you know what, they wanted to automate everything. And so they got rid of people. They offered people early retirement. Some people resigned. Some people were sacked. And so for me, I found myself doing a job of 5 people. I was in lending, so I would do all the loans. And I was actually doing staff loans. And those were the most challenges because I had a portfolio of about 300 people. You see, most people think that when the bank gets locked, the doors, that you go home. Actually, that's when the work starts. Because it's like during the day, you just collecting all the things that people are bringing in. When you're applying for a loan, of course, you bring your letter of employment, you bring your pay slip, and you look at your statement to see not only can you afford the loan, are you in the age group you are giving? Do you have the potential to pay from the income compared to the expenses that you have? So there was all that we do after the doors get closed. So I never actually got home before midnight. And then the bank made it very, very comfortable. They gave me, they paid me overtime. My overtime was actually double the salary. They bought me food. So when I got home, I actually didn't need to cook. And then, of course, they paid my salary. So it was like I was earning 3 times. So such a job would have been very difficult to leave. But I'd grown up with a stay-home mom, and I'd known that what I leave in my children was more important than what I leave for them. And so I'd looked at our lives in the where we were in the neighborhood, and I realized our lives were different. And the key thing that I do remember is that my mother was at home. So when my son was telling people I don't come home, that was really, really puzzling. And then he's 3 years old. A 3-year-old cannot lie. And so I just started thinking what my neighbors think about, but was still my in-laws. Because I come from a very, very mixed background. My father is a Kenyan. My mother is a Malawian. Then I'm married to Charles, who comes from a different part from where my father comes from. So I just saw these in-laws might think that I'm as mixed up in my life as I am in my background. And when I got a second child, I said, you know what, this job is not as important as my children. And I decided, you know what, I could actually go. And one of the things that I never ever regret having been in the bank, and I always tell people, I think I went to the bank to get a husband, because that's where Charles and I met, and actually resigned. It was just after 3 years after we got married, that's when I left the bank. And it was crazy because I never warned him. I never gave him notice. I didn't give him heads up. When I was on maternity leave for the second kid, I remember telling him I need to leave. And he's telling me how I need to stay because now we had a second child. We had a house loan. We were having a loan we were paying. We had a car loan we were paying. The boy was now 5 years going to school. And I had a six-month-old baby. And I'm there telling the guy, you know what, I'm going to leave this job. Because I feel that I am not adding value to my family. You know, I'd gotten to a point whereby when the house help goes, the baby start crying. But when I'm going, they say, Mommy, bye. And then I started thinking, are they my kids or hers? And I'm saying, I don't want to come one day and be told now the first tooth appeared, or she made her first step, or he did something and the other. Imagine being told stories about your kid and you're the mother and you don't know anything. So with those two reasons, I said, you know what? I can actually forgo this job. And for me, Neolife was an answer to prayer. Because after I left the bank, I didn't have an option B. I didn't actually know what I was going to do. I actually did not have any plans. And I didn't have any income to start a business. But I remember a year after, I prayed to the Lord and I said, God, I need something to do. But I want something that I'll do from the house. Number one, it should not be more than 15,000. Because I had an income, I only had money in a cooperative that was 15,000. And therefore, I knew that I do not want it to be more than 15,000. Then the other thing that I told God is that it must be something I can do from the house. Why from the house? I decided I don't want a full-time job. I decided I want to be a stay-home mom. And so I said it must be something I can do from the house and not more than 15,000. So one day a neighbor invited me, and I had worked with her in the bank, but she had reached retirement age. And she said, you know, there's a business in town. You can get mentored. You can work from home. You can even travel and foreign currency. Two things I wasn't certain of. One, I'd never sold even a pen because I knew business is either a service or a good. But the way she was talking, it was products. The second thing, having worked in the bank in our days, you used to get foreign currency at the airport. So you get foreign currency as you go, and you actually change it back at the airport before you get into the country. Then she's saying we will travel. I'm thinking of a thing that I'm doing from home, and I'm thinking of making beds, cooking, cleaning the children, cleaning the house. And I'm thinking, how do those things add up to a ticket to travel and go where to do what we do? Anyway, the long and short of it is I came with her because I had nothing to lose. She gave me a lift and she said, one of the evenings we'll go to town and we'll listen. And I'll forever be grateful because I went with her, because that day, the penny dropped for me. And I remember what I had in that meeting. I actually didn't sleep for almost 2 weeks because I could not believe that there was something as simple as I was told. Not easy. Simple means anybody can do it. Easy means you don't need to put effort. It was not easy, but simple in the sense that anybody could do it. Not easy in that you need to put effort. And so I went to the presentation, and the things I had that night, I actually didn't sleep for 2 weeks. I understood that this business has to do with people, not that I understood everything, and it had products. And for the products, like I said, I'd never sold anything, but I loved what they said about the products. Two ladies gave a testimony that evening. I remember Anyang Nyong'o's wife, Dorothy Nyong'o. I didn't know her name then. I only knew her face. And I also saw Priscilla Kiraito, who is Kiraito Murungi's wife, who is a former governor of Meru. And these two ladies, I knew them from television because their husbands had politics that were not acceptable in our country at the time I was growing up. And so they had lived in exile. And so at that meeting, when I saw them, I said, at least number one, I know there is money and there are quality people in here. So me, I joined because of them, because I said I want to be what they are. And I just said, maybe, even if a portion of what he said is true, I'll not mind. But today, 28 years later, I have no regrets at all. In fact, for me, this is the third best decision that I ever made. One of them was to accept the Lord as my savior. The second thing was to marry Charles as a husband. And then the third thing I ever did that was a very wise decision was to leave a job and believe God that I could get something else to do. Some of the things that have happened, like Fred said, I have enjoyed immensely. I have enjoyed immensely this business because that boy who was 5 years when I resigned turns 33 this year. I do not have my second born, but I have a third born who's the last born. She turns 23. There's 10 years gap. I tell people we are Kenyans. We do long distance even in giving birth. But the loss of my second child is actually why I'm in this business. 6 months after I joined the business, we got an unfortunate accident while traveling to Western. And we rolled with a car from the Lanette Cliff up and found ourselves under the bridge. And the small baby I had was a year and a half, actually passed on. And it was a devastating time because here I am, I've resigned from a bank job. I can't go back to a job. And I was in such a state that there are days I didn't want to talk to anybody. There are days I didn't want to go out. In fact, if my husband Charles and our son Shim asked for food, that was a nightmare. I'm thinking you guys are still eating. I mean, I've lost a kid and you're asking me for food. That was like, I didn't even know what they're talking about. There's a thing about loss. It's like your mind goes with that person. And after I lost this child, I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that's when this business made sense for me. And I'll tell you why. Our starter pack had three ranges of the four. We've got four ranges. We've got cleaning products, we've got the supplements, we've got skincare, and we've got an agri-care product. Our starter pack had the three ranges. It had got two cleaning products, Super 10 and LDC. It had two healthcare products, the Neolife Shake, then it was called Nutri Shake and Formula 4. And then we had the aloe vera gel and some sachets of the skincare. And so for me, the healthcare looked like medicine. I'd never seen anything like that. And I grew up in an era whereby when we saw a tablet or a capsule, you knew that was medicine and you couldn't take it except a doctor wrote for you. And so my understanding was that if a doctor joins this business, because at the presentation they said it doesn't matter your level of education, it doesn't matter what your background is, you can come whether you are educated or not, a housewife can come, a pharmacist can come, a lawyer can come, a dermatologist can come, an engineer. So there were all those. So my understanding was that if a doctor came, then they'll market the healthcare. If a dermatologist came with a skin expert, then they will do their skincare. And so because me, I was a housewife, I understood me, I get to know about the cleaning products. So for me, my first interaction was with the cleaning products. And I remember that my upline was only a week old when she introduced me to this business, and she didn't know what to do. We used to call it a business in a box. So these products were brought in a box, and I come home and I find we were paying 6,400, which I paid. And the thing was brought home. I found a box. I opened it up. I'd never seen anything like that. And so one of the biggest things I had to do was actually to read. And after reading, I saw, oh, this thing called Super 10 is a stain remover. And they're saying I dilute 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. And now I have to read what does dilution mean. Okay, it means I add water. And one of the evenings, because my younger child that I lost was she was a very early riser. One day I waited until everybody had slept at 10 and I did this Super 10 thing and I mixed the way I said. And I remember going to a room we had in the house, which we were using a stove. We just had a basic life. And I remember there was so much soot in this room, which had a white wall, but it turned black. And so I remember just spraying the Super 10 and I never forget the magic I saw. All the soot came down and on the line where the Super 10 had passed through, it became white and all the rest of the wall was black. I want to tell you that night I slept at 2 a.m. I was so excited. These are the kind of products you spray and they work. You don't spray and pray. You know, there's some things you're going to spray and then you're going to pray hoping that it works. These ones you can even do with your eyes closed because that product works and works. In fact, our products outperform. And so with that, just that experience of Super 10, I knew that these products work. And so my initial customers were actually bankers. But when I lost this kid, I was so devastated. Like I said, there were days I didn't want to talk. I remember for about 2 months, I actually didn't leave the house. I sat on a chair like this one, and I put the photo of the baby on my right and my left. And the whole day, I would just spend just looking at that photo. I couldn't even go to the gate to open for anybody. And I remember also not wanting a house help. And I just wanted to be alone because I could not understand what has happened to me. And I remember many of the times I went to town with a towel, not even a hanky, because I could cry anytime. If I see a baby shoe, it was a girl, I'll cry. If I see a dress, I'll cry. If I see people with their babies, I'll just cry. If people laughed, oh my God, that was the worst thing you did, because I was wondering, why are you so happy? I was just so pained. And so for me, like I said, when I lost that child, I decided to look at the healthcare because they said that these healthcare products help. And so I looked at what they call the stress program. I remember buying myself Formula 4. That was Formula 4 then. I took vitamin B complex. I took omega-3. I took chelated CalMag. I took aloe vera plus, and I took Herbal Rest and Relax. As in, I looked at the whole list and said I was going to buy everything because of the state in which I was on. I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that was a game changer for me. After taking those products for a month, going to 2 months, I actually did not go into depression. And I know depression. I've been in depression before. My first depression bout came at 18. That will be a story for another day about depression, because it is a thing that nobody understands. They just think you can say some statements and that in Kenya, mental health is taken like you're going a little bit mad, so people keep off you. But that's not it. So I know depression. And before that, I'd taken antidepressants for about 7 years, I remember. Dr. Frank Jenga, who most of you know when they talk about mental health, is always being brought on the TV. That's the guy who treated me like for 7 years before. So I know what depression is. But using these products, which they called supplements, I didn't get into depression. And I thought, Apana, then there's something that I don't understand. What are these things? They're not medicine. They've said they're vitamins. And then when I took them, they were not quite behaving like the antidepressants. Because one of the things with an antidepressant, they'll just make you a zombie. You sleep all day, you put on weight. And so I didn't experience any of that. And I just thought there's something that I don't understand. And I said that I went to school so that I was given power to read. And so I decided, now that I didn't have this child, I decided every morning from 4 to 6 was my reading hour. And I read products every single day for 3 months. My plan said the best thing, because you have a manual, you can read. And because I had no mentor and I don't have a child, I decided that I had to succeed or succeed. In other words, I had no weight. I just had to do the business. And so every day, I read about 3 products every single day. I never missed. And I wrote notes and wrote notes. Today, I want to tell you, I can tell you about these products the whole day and you would write about them. There are over 100. But I'll tell you, talking the way I am, I'll not even look at anything. You just say the product, I'll tell you what it does, the features, the benefits, and whatever else. So the products have really made a difference. And today we are not saying, do the products work or does the business work? The question is that, are you going to work it? Nothing works until you work. And so using the products has been a phenomenal thing. I have used all the 4 ranges and they are amazing. I've got a story for each and every range. And I remember that, the Health Now had already experienced them and they were good and great. And then the other thing was that now when we came to the cleaning products, for the last 28 years, I have never gone to buy a competitor product. Because when you've got the best, what do you do looking at the rest? And I use the cleaning products so well that my daughter, Angela, who's now 23, started using these products at 3 days old, not months, days. We left hospital and the first product that got into her mouth was omega-3. But other than that, I remember at 6 years, we went to visit a friend who bought us a bar soap to wash our hands. And then she started asking, Mommy, is this something to eat? And my friend thought, is your child okay mentally? I thought she's 6 years. And I said, yes, she is. She's okay. And she said, how come she thinks that a bar soap is something to eat? And I said, she's never seen anything like that. And she just knows LDC and the mixing bottle, because since she was born, those are the products she has seen. And for the last 23 years, she's been my guinea pig. There's nothing I haven't done with that girl. She's been the person I've done trial and error to know if these things work. And some friends would ask me, weren't you scared a little bit giving a 3-day-old baby something even to put through the mouth? And I said, no. Because during that pregnancy, when I was expecting Angela, I actually took the products and they helped me a great deal. Because the giving back to Angela actually got at 35. And at 35, they say when you get a child, when you're old, it is going to be hard. You're going to go through trouble. The aches, the pains, the baby size might even be not right. The baby will be maybe capacity not so well developed. And I have to tell you, Angela's birth was the easiest birth. In fact, I said, thank God she was the 3rd one, because that happened with the first one, I think I'll be having maybe 5, 6 children, because it was the easiest. I actually went to bed and I gave birth in the morning. The waters, when they broke his wall, woke me up. And so I knew without a doubt that this product, so having experienced that in my pregnancy, because my other 2 children, Michael and the late girl, had actually had induced, the waters would break and there would be no labor pain. And I know now today it's because my diet was horrible. That time I didn't know. And so with Angela, when I never forget that I used to carry products in my bag when I was expecting Angela, because I said, I want to be sure that these things work. I want to be able to close my eyes. And if I tell you the thing works, I know and I know and I know. You know the one you know until nobody can tell you anything. In fact, if they challenge you, you can actually walk away. And so with Angela, there are 3 products that I never missed in my handbag. I never missed a Formula 4. I never missed a CalMag, and I never missed omega-3, because I understood they were very key for pregnancy. And I remember when I was about to get her, I remember one day being at the warehouse and Dorothy Nyong'o gave me a lift. And she told me today, don't go home. And I asked her why. She said, the way you look, you'll just give birth on the road. And because I knew I'll be active throughout, I actually packed a bag and kept it in the middle of the sitting room. And I told my husband, Charles, and my son, Michael, the day you hear I've gone to hospital,
Sorry, Maggie, we seem to have lost you there.
You know, men don't know how to look for. That is what happened. And I just said, you know what? They brought the bag. And when I went to hospital, they said, you know, you're 4 centimeter dilated. And I said, I'm not feeling anything. They brought a wheelchair and said, me, I'm not even taking it. I slept. In the morning, at about 5 o'clock, the waters, of course, broke. And the next minute, Angie was out. In less than 20 minutes, I'd given birth. The amazing thing about that birth, I didn't actually go through labor pain. I'm scared of giving this testimony. I have to go through the labor. And that was amazing. And then to just see how Angela has grown, giving her supplements at 3 days old. By the time she was 2 years, she could sing the national anthem in English without lisping. Lisping is that one of you say, mama, ma, da, da, da. She could talk straight. So I know the products work. Today, 23 years later, I have given her the supplements every single day without a miss. At 23, I can't count 10 hospital visits that she has done. So on the part of the products, they are amazing. For me, the supplements have done a big thing in my life. I say the Neolife products will add years into your life and life into your years. They'll give you a longer, healthier life. Right now, I'm 58. I don't feel it. I don't have aches. I don't have I'm not on any tablet. I'm not on pressure. I'm not on diabetes. In fact, even when menopause came, which happened this year in January, is when I had my last cycle. For the ladies on the call, at 58. In fact, I remember talking to Dr. Esses and saying, when one does this thing, I thought they say 45, 50. If you go 50 something, you've gone quite a bit. Me, my cycle went at 58. And I never went through those processes of menopause, the hot flashes, the mood swings, the irritability. You know, the thing about menopause, a woman on menopause is almost like a teenager. One time she's happy, the next time she's annoyed, and you're wondering what it is. And the other products that I remember have been very good for me that I can talk about are the herbal range, and especially the feminine herbal that is for ladies. I remember I always had a challenge with my cycle. I used to overbleed, and I was forever on an iron tablet. I started taking an iron supplement at 18. It was called ferrous. Ferrous is the iron name in the chemical side, scientific name for iron. And so I was always on an iron tablet because I was always anemic. When they checked, my cycle was too heavy. I would bleed for 7 days. And so my blood count was always low. And the thing about a low blood count, you get brittle nails, you get very tired, you're very irritable, and a lot of things can actually go on and go wrong, including getting a heart disease. Because if your blood is too little, the body needs that blood. And so the heart has to outwork itself or overwork to circulate that blood. And so I was forever anemic. But when I came to Neolife and they launched the feminine herbal product, I never forget what late Dr. Don Lawson said. He said that a woman with PMS, premenstrual syndrome, is worse than a terrorist, because with a terrorist you can negotiate, but a woman with PMS you can't. And the thing that I remember is that the feminine herbal helped me a lot. It reduced my bleeding from 7 days to just 3. And I never got the symptoms, the premenstrual syndromes of bloating, irritability, mood swings, sensitive breasts. That never happened. And in fact, it came to a level that I actually had to carry a pad or something in my back because I could now never feel it. You know, PMS, you feel either, you can actually tell your cycle is somewhere on the way 2-3 days because of how you feel. When you take feminine herbal, that becomes a thing of the past. And it just worked so well. I was more calm. I never even got to know when the cycle is coming. It was shorter. It was exact. If it is 7 a.m. 21 days, it's 7 to 7 a.m. 21 days. And I've given it to a number of people who have had different cycles. Because for us ladies, it can be 21, 24, 26, 28, even up to 35. That's a normal cycle. And because we are very different in our makeup. So feminine herbal helped me a great deal. And I can tell you stories and stories about them. Then the experience of just being able to pass on the products, making profits every day, that for me was a big wow. Because I said, I don't know how you live 365 days, but only earn 12 times in a year. In other words, you only earn at the end of the month and every day you spend. So for me, the idea of making daily profits, for me, that was the wow at the beginning, because it meant I could actually change the diet. It meant that if my kid came home and needed something, I didn't have to wait for my husband to ask them to give me money. It meant that if an occurrence came and I had to travel, I did not have to worry and I had the money. So the daily profits really made it a big deal for me. And the fact that I could get a customer, my first customer, I had a floor that had wooden floor and I did the floor polish called Fantastic. And I remember this friend of mine coming and seeing herself on the floor. It just reflects exactly your image. It's like a mirror on the floor with Fantastic. It's a wonderful polish. It's got no fragrance. It doesn't have, you don't have to buff it. It doesn't leave residue on the floor. You don't have to shine it. It's non-scratch, non-slide. To the extent that when you polish your floor with Fantastic, you can even wear socks and you'll not slide. So this friend comes and pays me a visit. I said, what have you put on the floor? I said, it's another thing called their Fantastic that I'm selling. And she buys it from me and I'm in the house and I make 1,500. That for me was like, my goodness. So this thing can work. And of course, with time, I was able to sell and to move on. Right now, I think my minimum PVs I do is 1,000. For the distributors on the call, you'll understand that can give you about 100,000 in profits before you even talk about the check. That is just on the buying and selling. Because of course, over a period of time, I've built confident customers. I've got a customer I have served for the last 25 years without a miss every single month. You know what is good about our products? They are consumable, which means people have to come back for them. Soaps we use every day. Lotions we use every day. Supplements now, I know people now know about supplements. Like when COVID came, not that COVID was a good thing, but when God says everything works for good, I believe that the good that came out of COVID was more than the bad, because it brought an awareness that people got to know, you know what, now we need to take care of our health. It's no longer an issue. I need to know about immunity. I need to know my blood pressure. I need to know my sugar level. I need to know cholesterol. For the men, they need to know their PSA count. Where am I going towards getting cancer? For the ladies, we want to need to know about hypertension. And it just gave people an awareness that now we go for tests, not because you're feeling anything. Different person has got a challenge. They say, but therefore, I'm not feeling anything. All that about stop spending that kind of money to just be checked and be told I'm okay. By the way, that's a big deal. $200 is a lot of money, but what it says to you in terms of knowing what is wrong, it is really, really good. So for me, the products, I talk about the products, they've been wonderful. A bit of having customers who are my friends. My customers are actually my friends. In fact, I go and visit them and I get to know their families. They give me connections I've never have had. The other day, I remember reading the word of God, interesting revelation. Each time I meet somebody, the Lord has extended my borders. There's that scripture we keep on saying, Lord, like the prayer of Jabez, extend my tent, extend my territory. The Lord told me, anytime you need to meet a new person, I've actually extended your border, because I've introduced you to somebody, or will introduce you to people you didn't know, and they're changed. We are actually got a new slate of relationships that you didn't have before this new person. So just sharing the products have been amazing. That is profit, and then just getting to know people. The bit of growing as a person, personal development, the thing, it's made me different. I am different in so many ways. The things about myself I just didn't know. I didn't know I could talk to somebody and inspire them to do something. First of all, I did not know I can teach. I tell you, I did not go to university because I was called for Bachelor of Education. As we are the people who did the 7-6, in that system, we went up to Form 6. So my A levels, I was called for Bachelor of Education because I have got a diploma in music. On the other side, I would play the piano and I would play the guitar. So I had a diploma in music. And so when I got to university, they called me for BEd. And I told my dad, that's wasting your money. You do this, just pay for these other guys. Because I can't even teach. Because he made me teach my younger brothers and sisters. I didn't understand. So may I took it on the problem. So instead of him waste his money taking me to teach a training thing, I would rather I work. So I went and ended up working in the bank. Imagine I teach and I explain and I tell people whatever they can understand. If at the end of the day, that I refuse to be what I am. And thank God to know I would never have discovered that. So that I have discovered about myself that I never knew. Today, I actually am an MC. I do MC just not courtesy of Neolife. I'm able to present things. I'm involved in many other different things. Like in the last 2 years, I've almost been missing in action. I'm involved in a spiritual mentorship program. And in that mentorship program, I'm actually teaching and training people. And I'm amazed that I'm able to do it in a way that looks like I've been teaching the word of God all my life. It's not that. Neolife has helped me. So on the personal development side, because of the goals that we do, because in your life, there's something called the wheel of life. You've got 8 areas in your life and you need to balance. You got, first of all, your spiritual, because without God, I don't know where you're going. Everything lives because of the source. You know, if you remove the fish from the water, it would die. If the bird of the air into the water, the water will be out there, open. So as humans come from God, so we need to connect to Him. It's like power, the socket. The power may not work if you connect it to the socket. It's not on or our phones. So we need to connect to our source. So for one of my goals in the last 2 years, spiritual order I have undertaken. And at the end of this year, I'll be graduating in something that I've been doing. And I thank God I've given that opportunity. And then, so the spiritual, you have as a goal of the spiritual, you need to cover your finances. I know many people have said that money makes you money is the one that destroys you. Money will just make you more of what you are. If you're spendthrift, you're going to have more to spend. If you're a miser, you have more to keep away. In fact, more crimes are committed by people without money than people with money. And did you know that the moment you step out of your house, you have actually made a financial decision? Because you're not going to walk all the way. Even if it's walking, you need energy, which means you're going to put it in your body. The moment that child, even before they deposit, there was already finances. Finances, I tell people, money is to life what oil is to a car. You know, car parts without oil cannot slide on each other well. There's no proper movement. So if you don't have finances, you're in a problem. If you're not having finances, so many things are finances too. Because money makes choices. It makes you decide where you want to live. It makes you decide what you want to eat. Many of us are eating the right side of the menu instead of the left. You know what the right hand says? It gives you the amount. Then you go to the left to see what food. How would like to order the food you want, and never think of how much money I need. And if they don't have that food, you say that was not the issue. Can you make it and give me the bill? Because the life we belong to a God of abundance. And in this world, I want to tell you, everybody can get something. You know, many people, our dreams are very different. Like for me, a BM is a big deal. BMW is a big deal. For my husband, Charles, a Mercedes. So you see, it's enough for everybody. For some people, the mini car. For some people, it's the Toyota. For some people, it's different cars. So we've got something for everybody. So this scarcity mentality should not be there. You should have enough not only to give yourself, but to give others. Because then where would you be? So your life has helped in that sense. So I've grown as a person, so you need to have a financial goal, a spiritual goal, financial, a family goal to grow with my children. Today, even if I went where in the world, I'll be the least worried about children. I started staying alone at 20 years. The university was called to was very far from where we are, and I said, I'll not be driving, I would father be driving her. We got her a house at 20 years, and she has lived alone for 3 years. And I've never to worry what is she doing. If anything, she'll call me and tell me, today I'm going for swimming, today I'm going out with my friends. Today, she give me her schedule without me asking. Because I know what I left in her is more important than what I did for her. Then you need a social goal. Which people do you want to connect with? Social activities you want to be connected to. Then you need a lifestyle goal. How do you want to live? How do you want to be traveling? How do you want to be doing things? What kind of life do you want? Then you also need a mental. What kind of things? Some of us, our minds can't sort out anything because we fed them with nothing. Because some of us, the last time we looked at a book is when we were in school. I've told people that the education in school is not knowledge. That is potential power. Education is not knowledge. It's not power. Education is potential power because until you use that knowledge, it is useless. In fact, you're worse if you have got knowledge that you're not using compared to somebody who doesn't have. Because the one who doesn't have can say, I'm not using because I don't have. Now you, with all that you have, if you're not using, I think you're worse off than that person. So Neolife gives you an opportunity to be able to use that knowledge in a way that's not only benefit you, but other people. Then, of course, what role model? What do you want to be? Sometimes I want to ask people if they want to add the graveyard. The late Miles Monroe, thank God I met him through Neolife, through Charlie Bolton. In 1996, Miles Monroe ran at a conference in South Africa for ego team, and I managed to get it on the first
Maggie,
principles of my ego to the ego team. And I forever will be grateful for that man's life, because from then,
Maggie,
1996, I followed him up when he passed on. And I still listen to a lot of what he taught.
Maggie, can you hear me?
The richest place is not in the mines or the gold mines or the diamonds. He said the richest place is the graveyard. You know why?
Maggie,
Oh, another one died
can you
with
hear
the
me,
dresses
Maggie?
we should wear. Another one died with the styles we should have. Another one died with the movies we should be watching. Another one died with the architecture of the houses we should live in. Another one died, what I don't know. So we don't want to add to the brigade. So all I'm trying to say is that this business can turn life around. Today, 28 years later, I'm very happy. When it comes to earning, I can't tell you. I remember in 1997, living in South Africa for a month when we went for one of the holidays, and coming back to Kenya, and our income had increased by 30,000 in 1 month, and we are not here. So it's a business that can work from where you are. So when it comes to money, there is money in this business. Our highest income has been 200,000, 250,000 Kenya shillings. That is money that you can do many, many things. So I just want to tell you that this business can change you, can transform your life, can change your finances, can change your family. And today I'm a happy grandmother. My granddaughter, who's 2 years old, is already reading because I wanted to grow her mind. Many of us are not growing our mind. Your mind can sort out anything, but you've got to give it the right ingredients. It's in books, it is in what you listen to and to people you associate with. Finally, as I leave, I want to say that if you don't make up your mind, somebody else will. You live another person's dream. So we are saying the time has come when you need to decide what you want to be, and not only do you decide, but commit yourself. Maybe you made a decision to join Neolife, but you have never committed. Commitment is another day. The day you decide, you know what, I just don't want a life that I live for the sake of statistics. I'm just the 7th billion person. I'm just a part of statistics. Why don't you make a difference and stand out? As I finished, I met a man who was a cripple and he achieved so much. And he was said, you can't even stand up. He said, it's not that I don't have to be upstanding, but I need to be outstanding. So it's not in the fact that you can stand. Can you be outstanding and stand up to be counted? The products work. They do a great job. For the ones who've been invited, my last testimony is that 5 years ago, I found myself at 97 kilos. And in a year of using these products, I lost 35 kilos. I moved from a size 22 almost to a size 14. I lost 35 kilos as a whole human being. And that's just wonderful. So these products work without a doubt. So the question is, are you going to come with us and do something? And even if you decide you're not going to do the business, please look at our products. You need them. You need these products. You need to be alive in whatever it is you're doing. And you need to age gracefully. I'm not saying we won't die or won't age, but we are saying if God gives me up to 100, it means I need to be functional until that's 100. So I'll be active until the day I go down. So Fred and the team, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope that something I've said has inspired someone to do something with their lives, and to say that when you do things for yourself, you die with them. But when you do things for others, they outlive you. And that is what this business gives you. Something to outlive you and to touch people's lives. Thank you, Fred. And I hope that maybe another time will be better and do the herbal, the respiratory section was to do. But I know that what we've covered has still been of very much use. Thank you very much. And I do appreciate it. Fred, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Maggie. There's somebody who's asking, which products did you use to lose weight?
Okay, the products I used to lose weight, if you're writing, I use Pro Vitality. I used Amitone. I use Botanical Balance. And I use the Neolife Shake. Those 4. Pro Vitality, Amitone, Botanical Balance, and the Neolife Shake. And maybe at the end of this, I'm going to share the order in which I took them with the leaders. And if someone has invited you, could ask them to send you the order in which you take them and how.
Okay, okay, that's exciting. That's exciting. Okay, guys, that was a powerful, powerful story. Unfortunately, Maggie, the link was a bit, it was breaking up, so people missed a bit of it. but I know we had like 3/4 of the whole story. Powerful story showing how the products can work for you in the long term. So thank you so much, Maggie, for that. We will be organizing now for the respiratory session at a later date, so that you can be able to get into that as well. But I believe we've learned something. We've gotten inspired. Maggie mentioned about the business side of things. If you want to learn more about the business opportunity, tomorrow in the evening at 8 o'clock, our leader Pascal Olo will be tackling a session on how you can be able to make money from Neolife and be rich and also get to travel the world. So that will be happening tomorrow at 8 o'clock on this very same link that we've been using. So we welcome you for that one. And we also welcome you to attend with guests so that they can also get inspired and become part of Neolife. So if you're a guest on this call, like Maggie said, you have two options. You can either buy the products from the person who invited you, or you can register and join and become a distributor. Then you also get a chance to make some money in your free time and also empower other people to better health and wealth. So that is it on our side. Thank you again, Maggie. We truly appreciate that. Thank you all for zooming in. Next week we'll be back again. We'll be talking about something else, something different that concerns our health. So make sure you're there next week. This recording will be available a little bit later today so that you can be able to listen to it again. Others, thank you all. God bless you. Have a restful Sunday evening, and we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock with Pascal Olo. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Fred.